Hi, I'm Kenyan, and some of you know me by my spiritual name, Ashvini, and I am going to demonstrate how to make an herbal tea known as a tisane. I use herbal teas a lot to support my practice, my journey through life. This particular tea that I'm going to teach you how to make is using Tulsi tea, which is also known as holy basil. And this particular variety that I've grown is Krishna variety. All the Tulsi teas are adaptogens, meaning that they help your body adapt to stress. So that there might be a situation that would normally be stressful, but if you're using Tulsi tea, it can help you be more relaxed or at peace with that situation. Tulsi tea is also, it boosts the immune system. It's also known as an expectorant, meaning that if you have a lot of phlegm, it'll help you cough it up. And it's also known to be a brain stimulant. So it helps reduce mental fog, gives you clarity. So there's lots of amazing benefits for this wonderful plant. In particular, I use it to just help reduce anxiety and have a calming effect on my nervous system. So, to make Tulsi tea, you can use the fresh plant if you're growing it yourself, and you would just pick off the fresh plant and put it in your jar, and I would do several sprigs of this in my small jar. And then I would pour some boiling water over it. And with all teas or tisanes, you want to cap it, because if you don't, the nutrients will just evaporate out. I also buy Tulsi in dried form. I buy a large pound bag of it. And so here I have the dried Tulsi leaves in my jar, and this is a 12 ounce, and I have about 2 ounces in here, and I just eyeball it. So I just put some tea leaves, and then I fill my jar. So it's super easy to make these tisanes, which is why I love doing them. And then I cap it. And you want this to steep for a minimum of 15 minutes, and it can steep as long as you want. I even make tea blends with Tulsi, and I'll let it steep overnight for about 6 to 8 hours and then strain it. Obviously, the longer you steep it, the stronger the tea, which changes the flavor some too. But Tulsi is in the basil family, so it has a nice basil minty flavor. So I've done mine in a large jar because that way it'll last me for 2-3 days. And you don't want to keep them longer than 3 days because too much of the nutrients will evaporate out. So I remove the lid, and I'm going to strain the tea into another container. I'm going to use this pot, but you can use whatever container you want. Sometimes I use a jar. And this is a fine mesh strainer that I'm going to use, but you can also use a kitchen strainer. Obviously, the bigger the holes, the more plant material you're going to have floating around in your tea, which is fine. It won't hurt you. There's no toxicity in Tulsi tea, so it's not something that you can overdose on or anything like that. And I even pull out the extra plant material and squeeze it through my strainer, and then I'm going to compost that. So I find this hugely supportive for my nervous system, and it's not a replacement for the yoga and the different practices that I do. It's just more like a support. I find it really helpful, this Tulsi tea. Normally I would be in my kitchen sink and I would rinse this out and get all the plant material out, but you don't have to. And then I pour my strained tea in my my jar. And then, it has a wonderful kind of minty, basil-y flavor, so it tastes really good, which is also why I like to use it in some of my tea blends. So now this will last me for 3 days, and I can just sip on it throughout the day for 2 or 3 days. So here's with the dried, here's the fresh. You can also do the same process and just sit your jar out in the sun for 4 to 6 hours and let the sun steep your tea. And then you also have the energy of the sun infused in your tea. So I hope this is helpful, and you can easily make your own teas. You can buy the herbs online if you want. I use leavesandroots.com and also Mountain Rose Herbs, and I'll include that with the video for your resources if you want to make your own tea. So again, this is Tulsi tea. The Krishna variety goes great in Florida where I live, and so that's what I've planted here, and it grows just like basil. Super easy. So I hope you enjoyed this and that you'll start drinking some Tulsi tea. Thank you for watching.